All right, so turning now to Charlotte, North Carolina, where the 2020 Republican National Convention is underway, Vlad. Unlike the all-virtual Democratic National Convention, 336 delegates from across the country have been invited to re-nominate President Trump and Vice President Mike Pence in person. This comes despite the ongoing pandemic, of course, that is gripping the country. But we do know masks and temperature checks will be required throughout the week of events. So President Trump is expected to speak every day at the convention this week. And a list of other high-profile speakers are set to deliver remarks today as well, including South Carolina Senator Tim Scott, House Minority Whip Steve Scalise, Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan, former U.S. Ambassador to the UN Nikki Haley, and President Trump's oldest son, Donald Trump Jr. So for more on this, let us bring in CBSN political reporter Caitlin Huey-Burns. Thank you so much, Caitlin. So do we know any more about the traditional roll call? I mean, it's not going to be sort of traditional, but what can you tell us about how the convention is going to begin its rollout?
Right. Well, last week we had a very unconventional roll call with people around the country talking from their respective states. We will see a more traditional roll call today, and Trump will be officially nominated as the Republican nominee. Remember, he faced no opposition in his quest for a second term. But I think at the end of this week, I think our viewers will have seen two very different views of where the country is and where the country is going after having seen the Republican convention and the Democratic convention. And heading into the Republican convention, it's really interesting to kind of look at where the Republican Party is and what Republican Party voters are thinking right now. We had a new poll out from our amazing polling team yesterday looking at how Republicans feel about the Trump presidency and the way things are going. And it was really interesting to see that, large majorities support Donald Trump, of course, but also believe that he is handling the coronavirus well. They believe that things are better off than they were 4 years ago, and they're confident in Trump and the state of the economy. And they also are looking forward. A majority, 90% of them, want to see Trump and Mike Pence present some kind of positive vision for the future and talk about the accomplishments. So in previews that we've seen from the campaign and RNC officials, they're saying that they want to talk about the accomplishments. However, they also are going to have to address the state of the country right now. We're in the middle of a pandemic that has exposed racial inequality, social injustice, and the like. We're in an economic free fall. So as much as the president wants to talk about economic accomplishments, everything that's happened since the pandemic has reversed a lot of those. So there will be things that they have to answer for. And to kind of preview how they might respond to those challenges, I was looking at the Twitter feed from Tim Scott, the Republican senator from South Carolina, who will be speaking tonight. He has been tweeting about hashtag socialism stinks and kind of railing against Democrats. And we saw last week, as Democrats were having their convention, they tried to talk to Republicans. They tried to show support from former Republicans or some current Republicans in an effort to kind of pre-butt attacks they knew were coming, trying to paint them as with a wide brush of socialism. And I think that's what we're going to see from some Republicans this week as well.
So, Caitlin, let's talk about some of the high-profile speakers set to deliver remarks this week. The DNC featured a few Republicans, some everyday Americans, George Floyd's family, and former Democratic presidents. I note that 7 of the key speakers that the RNC has put out are named Trump, in other words, are part of the Trump family. I'm also curious to know what your take is on the list of people who are not appearing, including Republicans that are in the fight of their lives for re-election, like Susan Collins and others. And Lindsey Graham, he's always so vocal on Twitter. He's always so vocal in front of the cameras defending President Trump. How come he's not there?
It's a really great point, Vlad. And before all of this, we were trying to talk to Republican lawmakers to figure out if they were going. Susan Collins' office had told us that she doesn't attend conventions in years that she's up for re-election. But you notice the notable names not on this list: Susan Collins, Cory Gardner, who's facing a tough re-election bid in Colorado as well. Usually, the conventions give a party member a big platform and a chance to talk about themselves and their goals and their campaigns. But if your party is facing a very difficult re-election fight heading into November, you're less likely to want to be attached to Donald Trump and the presidency, the incumbent and president, if they are trailing in the polls. So I think that's kind of the dynamic that we're seeing, but it is notable. Joni Ernst is one of the few, senator from Iowa, one of the few Republican senators up for re-election who is going to be speaking at this convention. So it does raise a lot of questions about how confident some of these Republicans feel in being attached to the top of the ticket, and we'll see them try to distance themselves likely in the next few weeks.
All right, Caitlin, thank you very much.